I've always believed that love is about support. It's not just about the romantic moments or the shared laughter. It's about being there for one another through thick and thin. Growing up, I watched my parents navigate life together, always lifting each other up, and that became my ideal. I longed for a partner who would share that same vision. A loyal, lovely woman who would stand by my side as we chased our dreams together. As I got older, I began to notice the subtle pressures society places on relationships. The expectation to settle down, buy a house, and follow a traditional path weighed heavily on my mind. I wanted those things too, but I also felt an itch deep within me, an urge to pursue my dream of acting. I yearned for the stage, the thrill of bringing stories to life, and the excitement of being part of something bigger than myself. In my heart, I knew I wanted happiness until the end, but it felt like I was caught in a tug of war. I believed that support in love was essential, but what if my dreams led me in a different direction than my partner's? Would I be betraying my values if I chased my aspirations while Sarah wanted a stable life? As I wrestled with these thoughts, I began to feel the first cracks in my belief bubble. It was a discomforting feeling, one that hinted at the conflict brewing just beneath the surface. As time passed, I started noticing the little things that indicated a growing distance between Sarah and me. It wasn't that we fought or argued. In fact, our conversations were often pleasant. But underneath it all, I sensed an unspoken tension. Sarah talked more about settling down, picking out wedding venues, discussing future plans, and even hinting at starting a family. Each time she brought it up, I felt a tightening in my chest. My dreams of acting felt like a distant echo, overshadowed by her desires for stability and a traditional life. I would smile and nod, trying to play along, but inside, I was wrestling with a whirlwind of emotions. I wanted to support her dreams, but I couldn't shake off the feeling that my own aspirations were slipping away. We had once shared dreams of exploring new places, pursuing our passions, and living in the moment. But now, those discussions had been replaced with plans for a white picket fence. I would watch as she meticulously planned our future, her excitement palpable, while I sat in silence, feeling more like an outsider in my own life. This subtle shift created a chasm I didn't know how to bridge. I wanted to voice my concerns, to be honest about my dreams, but fear held me back. What if admitting my feelings only pushed her further away? As I struggled with these thoughts, I couldn't shake the notion that I was losing something precious. The once vibrant connection we shared was slowly fading, and I was terrified of what that might mean for our relationship. It was during a casual get-together with friends when the truth began to rear its head. We were all gathered, sharing laughs and stories, when one of my close friends, Jake, pulled me aside. I could sense the seriousness in his tone as he said, "Hey man, can I be honest with you about something?" I nodded, expecting him to share some trivial gossip, but instead, he laid it out bluntly. "I've noticed you and Sarah aren't on the same page anymore. I think you're drifting apart, and you need to talk about it before it's too late." His words hit me like a punch to the gut. I had been trying to deny it, hoping the distance would just fix itself. Hearing it from someone outside our relationship made it painfully clear that I wasn't just imagining things. I felt a mix of anger and embarrassment. How could he see what I was trying to ignore? That night, I couldn't sleep. I replayed the conversation over and over in my head. Jake's observations echoed my own fears, and I began to question everything. Was I really that blind to the changes happening in my life? As I lay there, I struggled with the truth, grappling with the reality that I was at a crossroads between following my dreams and trying to maintain a relationship that was becoming increasingly strained. The weight of that realization felt unbearable. I found myself questioning if I was being selfish for wanting to pursue acting while Sarah was so eager to build a future together. But deep down, I knew I had to face the truth, even if it meant risking everything I had with her. This internal battle made me feel vulnerable, and the thought of confronting Sarah filled me with dread. As the days went by, the weight of the situation began to take a toll on my self-esteem. I found myself looking in the mirror, wondering who I had become. The vibrant, ambitious man who once dreamed of standing on stage felt like a distant memory. Instead, I felt like a shell of my former self, caught in a whirlwind of uncertainty and self-doubt. Every time Sarah brought up our future together, a knot formed in my stomach. I wanted to be the supportive partner she deserved, but I couldn't shake off the feeling that I was betraying my dreams. Each conversation about settling down chipped away at my confidence, making me feel like I was letting everyone down: Sarah, my friends, and most importantly, myself. I was constantly torn between two worlds, and it felt like I was failing at both. I started avoiding social gatherings, not wanting to face my friends or their probing questions. I feared they would see through my facade and realize how lost I truly felt. The idea of pursuing acting began to seem like a childish fantasy, something I should have grown out of by now. Was it too late to chase those dreams? In my quieter moments, I pondered the life I had envisioned for myself, a life full of creativity and expression. I craved the rush of performing, yet here I was, stuck in a routine that felt suffocating. This identity crisis left me feeling trapped. My heart ached for the man I once was, but I didn't know how to reconcile that with the expectations surrounding me. The longer I remained in this limbo, the more it felt like my dreams were fading away. I couldn't escape the sense of loss, not just for the relationship with Sarah, but for the person I had hoped to become. I knew I needed to confront these feelings, but the thought of facing the truth terrified me. The day of the confrontation arrived, and my heart felt like it was pounding in my throat. I knew it was time to have an honest conversation with Sarah, to finally address the growing distance between us. I could no longer ignore the gnawing feeling that our dreams were pulling us in opposite directions. We sat down together in our living room, and I felt a wave of anxiety wash over me. I took a deep breath, trying to steady myself. "Sarah, we need to talk," I began, my voice shaking slightly. Her expression changed instantly, and I could see the worry in her eyes. I knew she sensed the gravity of the moment. As I opened up about my feelings, about the dreams I still held, and the fear of losing my identity, I watched her face fall. I could see the hurt in her eyes, and it broke my heart to be the one causing her pain. I was terrified of what my honesty would mean for us, but I couldn't keep living a lie. I spoke about my desire for a future filled with adventure, creativity, and acting, while she yearned for stability and a family. Tears streamed down her face as she processed my words. "I thought we were on the same path," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I thought we wanted the same things." Each word felt like a dagger, piercing through my heart. I had never wanted to hurt her, but I realized that by avoiding this conversation, I had already caused her pain. We both cried, and it was the first time I truly felt the weight of our disconnect. The room felt heavy, with unspoken words and lost dreams. I could see the love we once shared slowly slipping away, and the thought of it devastated me. I was losing not just a partner, but a friend, a person who had stood by me through thick and thin. In that moment, I knew we were both at a crossroads. I could either continue down the path of uncertainty, or I could take the leap of faith and embrace my dreams, even if it meant leaving Sarah behind. It was one of the hardest decisions I've ever had to make, and the emotional turmoil I felt that day would linger long after the conversation ended. After the confrontation, I found myself in a state of turmoil, oscillating between clarity and confusion. I spent countless nights awake, staring at the ceiling, replaying our conversation in my mind. My heart was heavy with the realization that I was faced with a life-altering decision, one that would shape not only my future, but also Sarah's. I could still hear her sobs, the pain etched on her face. I wanted to comfort her, to tell her everything would be okay, but deep down, I knew I was the source of her heartbreak. Part of me longed to stay, to find a way to make it work, to compromise and build the stable future she envisioned. But the other part of me craved freedom, the freedom to chase my dreams, to explore the world of acting that had always called to me. I started weighing the pros and cons of each option. Staying with Sarah meant security, love, and the life we had planned together. Leaving meant stepping into the unknown, risking everything for a dream that might never materialize. Would I regret walking away from her? Would I regret choosing my dreams over love? The questions spun around in my head like a storm, leaving me more disoriented than ever. Friends and family sensed my inner conflict, but I kept my thoughts to myself. I feared their judgment and didn't want to add to the emotional burden I was already carrying. Deep inside, I was scared of losing Sarah, scared of failing in my acting pursuits, and scared of facing the consequences of my decision. Ultimately, I had to confront the harsh truth. Staying in a relationship built on differing dreams would only lead to resentment. I needed to be honest with myself and with her. It was a painful realization, but I understood that I couldn't continue living a life that didn't align with my passions. The decision weighed heavily on my heart, but deep down, I knew I had to choose the path that felt true to me, even if it meant saying goodbye. In the wake of my decision to break up with Sarah, I felt a profound sense of loneliness and uncertainty. The weight of my choice hung heavily over me, and I realized I couldn't carry it alone. I needed to reach out to my friends and family for support, to share my burden and gain perspective. I called up Jake, my closest friend, and we met at our favorite coffee shop. As I sat across from him, I could see the concern in his eyes. I began to recount the events leading up to the breakup, from the growing distance between Sarah and me to the heart-wrenching confrontation. I expected judgment or disappointment, but instead, Jake listened intently, nodding as I poured out my feelings. "I can't believe how difficult that must have been for you," he said softly. "It's brave to choose your dreams, even when it means letting someone you care about go." His words resonated with me, and I felt a glimmer of reassurance. For the first time since the breakup, I felt a flicker of hope. I was not alone in this. I had friends who understood and supported me. After our conversation, I reached out to my family. I confided in my sister, who had always been my rock. As I shared my struggles, she reminded me of the importance of following my passion. "You've always had that fire in you," she said. "Don't let fear snuff it out." Her encouragement gave me strength and reminded me of the dreams I once held dear. In the following days, I continued to lean on my support system. Friends rallied around me, offering advice, listening to my worries, and reminding me that it was okay to feel lost. I began to realize that seeking help didn't mean I was weak. It meant I was human. With their support, I started to find clarity. I felt more empowered to embrace the journey ahead, knowing that I didn't have to navigate it alone. The conversations with my friends and family ignited a spark within me, reminding me that I was worthy of pursuing my dreams. And while the pain of losing Sarah lingered, I felt a growing sense of hope for the future. As the weeks passed, I gradually began to find my footing again. The initial shock of the breakup started to fade, replaced by a sense of resolve and determination. I realized that healing wouldn't happen overnight, but I was ready to embrace the process. I took small steps toward rediscovering myself, focusing on activities that ignited my passion for acting and creativity. I enrolled in a local acting class, something I had always wanted to do but had pushed aside for the sake of my relationship. Walking into that classroom for the first time felt like stepping into a new world. The energy was electric, filled with people who shared my passion for performance. I felt a rush of excitement as we engaged in exercises that challenged me to break out of my shell. At first, I was nervous, unsure of how I would measure up against my classmates. But as I participated in improvisation games and scene work, I felt the familiar spark of joy returning. It was liberating to express myself freely, to embrace the craft I had longed to pursue. I could feel my confidence slowly rebuilding, like a phoenix rising from the ashes. Outside of class, I started journaling my thoughts and emotions. Writing became a therapeutic outlet, allowing me to process my feelings about the breakup and my journey towards self-discovery. I filled pages with my hopes and fears, the lessons I learned from my relationship with Sarah, and my aspirations for the future. It helped me confront the pain and acknowledge that it was okay to feel lost as long as I was moving forward. I also made a conscious effort to take care of myself physically and mentally. I began exercising regularly, channeling my emotions into workouts that made me feel strong and empowered. I learned to prioritize my well-being, recognizing that healing was not just an emotional journey, but a physical one as well. With each passing day, I felt the darkness of heartbreak begin to lift, replaced by a renewed sense of purpose. I was beginning to heal, finding strength within myself that I didn't know existed. As I embraced this newfound path, I felt a flicker of hope ignite within me, reminding me that the journey was just beginning. It was during one of my acting classes that I first met Emily. She was a vibrant soul with a contagious laugh, and I found myself drawn to her energy. We were partnered together for a scene, and as we rehearsed, I couldn't help but feel a connection forming. She had a way of making me feel at ease, as if we were old friends reuniting rather than two strangers meeting for the first time. After our first rehearsal, Emily invited me to grab coffee. As we chatted, I discovered we had so much in common. Our love for the arts, our dreams of making it in the industry, and even our struggles with past relationships. She shared her own story of heartbreak, and it struck a chord with me. I felt a sense of understanding that I hadn't experienced in a long time. As the weeks went by, our friendship blossomed. We spent countless hours discussing our aspirations and supporting each other through auditions and performances. Emily became my confidant, someone I could share my fears and dreams with without judgment. The trust we built felt effortless, and it was refreshing to connect with someone who truly understood the world I was navigating. However, part of me still carried the scars of my past relationship. I was hesitant to open my heart completely, fearful of getting hurt again. I often caught myself holding back, second-guessing my feelings and the intensity of my connection with Emily. I didn't want to rush into anything. I wanted to take my time to heal properly. One evening, after a particularly exhilarating rehearsal, Emily looked at me and said, "You know, I really appreciate how we've been able to connect on a deeper level. It feels so genuine." Her words struck a chord in my heart, and for the first time, I allowed myself to truly consider the possibility of a new relationship. With her support, I slowly began to let my guard down. I shared my fears and insecurities about love and trust, and she listened without judgment. In those vulnerable moments, I realized that rebuilding trust didn't mean forgetting the past. It meant allowing myself to be open to new experiences while acknowledging the lessons I had learned. As our connection deepened, I felt a renewed sense of hope. Emily's presence in my life reminded me that love could be kind, supportive, and inspiring. I was beginning to believe that perhaps I could embrace the possibility of new love without losing sight of my own journey. As my friendship with Emily evolved, I began to experience a sense of joy that I hadn't felt in a long time. Each moment we spent together was filled with laughter, creativity, and a shared passion for our craft. Our bond grew stronger, and I found myself looking forward to our rehearsals, not just for the acting, but for the time I got to spend with her. One evening, after an incredible performance, Emily suggested we celebrate our hard work with dinner at a cozy little restaurant downtown. As we shared stories over a candlelit table, I felt an undeniable chemistry between us. Our conversations flowed effortlessly, and I found myself completely captivated by her warmth and enthusiasm. It was during that dinner that I took a leap of faith. With my heart racing, I reached across the table and gently took her hand. "Emily, I know we've been friends, but I can't help but feel something more between us," I confessed. To my relief, her eyes sparkled with excitement, and she squeezed my hand in response. "I feel it too," she said, a smile lighting up her face. From that moment on, our relationship blossomed into something beautiful. We spent weekends exploring the city, attending theater performances, and supporting each other's dreams. Emily encouraged me to audition for roles that challenged me, and in turn, I cheered her on as she pursued her own opportunities. For the first time since my breakup with Sarah, I felt a sense of happiness that felt genuine and fulfilling. Emily's belief in me reignited my passion for acting, and I found myself diving headfirst into auditions, eager to seize every opportunity that came my way. I felt a renewed sense of purpose, driven by both my dreams and the support of someone who truly understood me. As I embraced this new chapter, I began to appreciate the lessons I had learned from my past relationship. I realized that love should not feel like a burden. It should uplift you and inspire you to be your best self. With Emily by my side, I felt empowered to chase my dreams without the weight of fear holding me back. Through our laughter and shared experiences, I discovered that love could be transformative. It wasn't just about finding someone to fill the void, it was about building a partnership rooted in mutual support, trust, and passion. Emily became my muse, motivating me to strive for greatness, both in my personal life and in my acting career. As the days turned into weeks, I found myself not only falling in love with Emily, but also rediscovering the joy of pursuing my dreams. I realized that happiness was not just a destination, it was a journey, and with Emily by my side, I felt ready to embrace whatever lay ahead. As the months passed, I continued to grow both personally and professionally, and the relationship I shared with Emily blossomed into something profound. Together, We navigated the highs and lows of our acting careers, but more importantly, we supported each other in ways I had never experienced before. Emily became not just my partner, but my best friend, someone who challenged me, inspired me, and believed in me unconditionally. Looking back, I could hardly recognize the person I had been when I was with Sarah. The fear of chasing my dreams had once paralyzed me, but now I felt liberated, empowered to take risks and embrace the uncertainty that came with pursuing a career in acting. Emily's unwavering support fueled my ambition, and I began landing roles that had once felt like distant fantasies. The culmination of my efforts came when I was cast in a significant theater production. The moment I received the call, I was overwhelmed with emotions, joy, disbelief, and gratitude. I knew that this was not just a personal victory. It was a testament to the journey I had taken since breaking up with Sarah. On opening night, as the curtain rose and I stepped onto the stage, I felt a rush of exhilaration. I glanced into the audience and spotted Emily, her eyes shining with pride and encouragement. In that moment, I knew that I had made the right choice. Choosing to pursue my dreams had led me to this moment of fulfillment. I was not just acting, I was living my truth, and it felt incredible. After the show, Emily and I celebrated with friends and family who had supported us along the way. Surrounded by laughter and joy, I reflected on how far I had come. I realized that breaking up with Sarah had been a painful but necessary step toward discovering my true self. It had opened doors I never knew existed, allowing me to pursue a path filled with passion and purpose. As I embraced this new chapter in my life, I understood that love, too, had transformed. With Emily, I had found a partnership built on mutual support and shared dreams. Together, we were creating a life that felt aligned with our values, aspirations, and desires. The fear of the unknown had dissipated, replaced by an unwavering belief in ourselves and each other. Looking ahead, I felt hopeful and excited about the future. With Emily by my side, I knew that I could face any challenges that came my way. We were partners in every sense, embarking on a journey filled with love, creativity, and endless possibilities. In the end, my story became one of growth, resilience, and the courage to pursue dreams. I learned that sometimes the hardest decisions lead to the most rewarding outcomes, and that true love thrives when both individuals can support one another's paths. As I took a moment to breathe in the new beginnings surrounding me, I felt grateful for the journey that had brought me to this beautiful place, both in my career and in my heart.